All right, welcome back. In our last session, we talked about how piping engineering is really the central nervous system of any major project, and the serious responsibility that comes with that role. So now, let's lay out the roadmap for this course.
Let's get started.
You know, if you've looked for training online, you've probably found a ton of tutorials that focus only on the software, which button to click, what menu to open. And look, those skills are necessary, but they really just amount to drafting, not engineering design. Our goal is completely different. We're not here to train software operators. We're here to create piping designers who can actually contribute to a live project from day one, because they're focused on the why behind every single design decision. So, to explain our approach, we're going to walk through 5 key areas in this session. We'll start with how the course is structured to mirror a real-world workflow, and then we'll get into the difference between engineering thinking and tool dependency. We'll also cover code awareness, detail the project you'll be building, and then we'll finish up with a summary. So let's begin with the course structure itself. This program is designed from the ground up to mirror the actual life cycle of an EPC project. We don't teach topics in isolation. We teach them in the exact order you'll encounter them in the real world, because understanding that sequence, well, it's absolutely critical. On any project, information matures in a very specific cycle. First, we start with our input data, and that's mainly the piping and instrumentation diagrams, or P&IDs. We'll learn how to really interpret those for a physical layout. Second, we move to equipment layout, because you can't route a single pipe until you know where the big equipment sits. Third is the piping study itself, where we figure out the most efficient and logical routing. And finally, we create the deliverables, the general arrangement drawings and the fabrication isometrics that go out to the construction team. Following this workflow teaches you to respect the dependency of information. And that brings us to our second key principle, the huge distinction between engineering thinking and just being dependent on a tool. This is a foundational concept for our entire approach. You have to remember, software like Aveva, E3D, or SmartPlant, they're just incredibly powerful databases with a visual interface. This slide really shows the difference we're aiming for. An operator follows commands. A designer makes decisions. We're teaching you to treat the software as the tool you use to execute your solution, not as the source of the solution itself. So, here's the crucial point. The 3D software will happily let you model a pipe running straight through a walkway or blocking an emergency exit. The software will not stop you. It's just like a calculator. It can perform the math perfectly, but it has no idea if the equation you gave it was the right one to begin with. Only your engineering thinking will prevent a critical error like that. And that's exactly why we emphasize stripping away that reliance on auto-route features and really encourage you to visualize the solution first. You have to learn to see the plant in 3 dimensions in your own mind before you ever start modeling it. Because if you can design a complex pump loop with a simple pencil and paper, you can design it in any software package out there. The commands change, the physics and the logic do not. Okay, another major objective of this course is to instill a deep sense of code awareness and professional responsibility. This goes way beyond just creating a functional model. Piping design is governed by strict codes and standards, with the main one being ASME B31.3 for process piping. Now, you don't need to memorize the entire code, not at all, but you absolutely must know that it exists, and you must know where to look for answers. We're going to cover what code compliance actually means in a layout context. And this has a critical implication. The drawings you produce are legal documents. They are the instructions for the construction team. So if a welder builds a spool exactly the way you drew it, and that spool fails because of a poor design decision, that liability traces right back to the engineering definition. We will train you to see your work not as just a model, but as a future physical reality. So, with all that said, what is the tangible outcome of this approach? Let's move from the philosophy to the practice and talk about what you will actually build by the end of this course. We're going to execute a focused scope that's based on a typical refinery unit. Together, we'll interpret a P&ID for a pump station and a vessel, we'll place the equipment and justify its coordinates, route the primary piping, incorporate all the necessary components like valves and instruments, select and place supports, and finally review the isometric drawings for fabrication. You will have completed a full vertical slice of a real project. All right. Let's bring everything together and do a quick summary of the core objectives we've just outlined. It's really important to keep these principles in mind as we move forward. First, we are following the EPC execution sequence to make sure you understand project workflow. Second, we're prioritizing engineering logic over just software proficiency. Remember, we're training designers, not operators. Third, we are embedding code awareness and safety into every single decision. And fourth, you will apply all this knowledge by executing a practical, hands-on design, taking it from theory all the way to fabrication data. So now that you understand our method and our objectives, you really need to determine if you're the right person for this program. This training is rigorous. It is not intended for casual hobbyists. In our next explainer, we will clearly define who this course is designed for and, just as importantly, who it is not.